What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Monday, January 3rd. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 10-game slate tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. So, of course guys, James Harden just been playing out of his mind. In the last 4 games, he scored over 70 points or more in his last 4 games. He's just on a tear, and he's got a good track record versus the Memphis Grizzlies. He scored 46, 62, 74, 89, and 78 fantasy points in his last 5 games versus the Grizzlies. So, of course, guys, James Harden here tonight. But let's take a look at another point guard on the slate. If you want to save some salary, here's a value play. Take a look at Tyus Jones from the Memphis Grizzlies playing the Brooklyn Nets, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. They give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Tyus Jones has averaged 19 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 21 minutes per game with a 15% usage rate. He's projected at 18.6 fantasy points here tonight, but I think he can score 20 fantasy points or more here, get you 5 times value or more. He's 4,000 DraftKings salary, 100 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 226.5 points scored in this game, so a high-scoring game. And Tyus Jones has scored 34, 22, and 8 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 23, and 18 minutes. So if you can get Tyus Jones for 20 to 25 minutes, I think he's got a great chance at hitting or crushing value here. And take a look at his last 3 games versus the Brooklyn Nets. He scored 41, 25, and 36 fantasy points. So I like Tyus Jones here versus the Brooklyn Nets. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like Will Barton from the Denver Nuggets playing the Dallas Mavericks, who have a good defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing shooting guards. Will Barton has averaged 30.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He's projected at 30.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's just about 5 times value. He's 6,200 DraftKings salary, 100 less on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 211.5 points scored in this game, and Will Barton has scored 33, 37, 31 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 29, 35, and 35 minutes. And he scored 32 and 35 fantasy points in his last 2 games versus the Mavericks. I'm just looking for 30 plus fantasy points here, and maybe you could get a 40 fantasy point game here. So I like Will Barton here versus the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. So let's take a look at this play here. If Nicholas Batum is out, that's going to open up some more minutes for Marcus Morris Sr. from the LA Clippers playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have the 10th worst defense overall. They give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Marcus Morris Sr. has averaged 27.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He's projected at 29.2 fantasy points here tonight, and that's just about 5 times value. He's 6,000 DraftKings salary, 900 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 218.5 points scored in this game, and Marcus Morris Sr. has scored 36 and 42 fantasy points in his last 2 games, playing 37 minutes in each of those games. So if Nicholas Batum is out, I think that's going to open up 35 to 37 minutes. And at that rate, let's see, he's scoring 0.92 fantasy points per minute. So that should put him over 30 fantasy points and over 5 times value. I like this as a DraftKings play much more than I do FanDuel. Good matchup here as well. So I like Marcus Morris Sr. here versus the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on.
Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, moving on to the power forward position. Hey guys, we hit on Giannis Antetokounmpo that game. Remember I said because I didn't pick him? I had picked Joel Embiid, who played pretty well, but Giannis scored 64, and then Giannis scored 76 fantasy points last game. But I'm not going to pick Giannis here tonight. I always seem to miss with Giannis whenever I pick him in a video. It's like never fail, he goes out there and puts up one of his 45-point games or 45 fantasy point games. So at the power forward position, the guy that I like is Tobias Harris from the Philadelphia 76ers playing the Houston Rockets, who have the 2nd worst defense overall, and they give up the absolute most fantasy points to opposing power forwards. Tobias Harris has averaged 35.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 25% usage rate. I think he can score 40 fantasy points or more in this matchup, get you 5 times value or more. He's 8,200 DraftKings salary, and he's 1,100 less on FanDuel. So I love that FanDuel price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 221.5 points scored in this game, and Tobias Harris has scored 26, 56, and 38 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 36, 35, and 29 minutes. And he scored 23, 58, and 36 fantasy points in his last 3 games versus the Rockets. I'm looking for 45 plus fantasy points here, and on FanDuel, that would be a smash play. Great matchup. So I like Tobias Harris here versus the Houston Rockets. Okay, moving on to the center position. Oh, you got Joel Embiid, who's in a great spot here as well. Fantastic matchup versus the Houston Rockets. So he's a good play if you can pay up at the center position. But the guy that I like just seems a little bit underpriced here. Well, at least on DraftKings, but I like his price on both sites. I like Rudy Gobert from the Utah Jazz playing the New Orleans Pelicans, who have the 11th worst defense overall. They give up the 11th most fantasy points to opposing centers. Rudy Gobert has averaged 42.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 32 minutes per game with a 17% usage rate. He's projected at 42.3 fantasy points here tonight, and that's just about 5 times value. He's 8,700 DraftKings salary, 300 less on FanDuel. Anytime I can get Rudy Gobert for under 9K on DraftKings, it's a pretty solid play. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 227.5 points scored in this game. So a super high scoring game here. And Rudy Gobert has scored 47, 43, and 45 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 34, 35, and 28 minutes. He's super consistent, so I like Rudy Gobert here versus the New Orleans Pelicans.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.